but give yourselves a bit of room. It's there's no need to be sort of switching lanes, pulling people sort of down. We've had a few crashes over the last couple of weeks, and it's literally just people crossing wheels. So make sure you give everybody a bit of room.
This video is going to have a different format from previous ones. First of all, my GoPro's battery died halfway through the race, so I only captured the first half. Second, this race was much smoother than previous races this year, both at Wells Ave and at the Frozen Four. There were no crashes, and it wasn't as surgy as previous races have been. We still averaged 26.5 miles an hour for the race, but my heart rate and normalized power were in the tempo zone. So I've had some great conversations over the past few days regarding race safety, particularly the troubles we've seen in the Cat 4 fields. For what it's worth, I'm a Cat 4 lifer. I've done 40 plus road races and 30 cyclocross races starting in 2018. I can't climb, and I find that I do best in smaller fields. Why haven't I upgraded? Current USAC guidelines allow for voluntary upgrades from Cat 4 to 3 with 20 pack finishes in the last 36 months, with that time frame being extended due to COVID. I certainly have 20 plus pack finishes, but I'm not very competitive in my current category. This is the main reason I haven't upgraded yet. I've been on the podium once so far, and I want to ensure that I'm not setting myself up for failure by upgrading prematurely. I still race in primarily Cat 3-4 fields, so one may say that I'm not penalizing myself by upgrading early, but there are still some straight Cat 4, 4-5, and Masters Cat 4 races that I would be quite competitive in. Pacing and tactics are some of my weaker points, and this year it's also about being comfortable in the field. That brings me back to the topic that I wanted to talk about, race safety in a post-COVID world. Largely, the pandemic is behind us and races started popping up again. Although there were little to no events in the US, New England in particular, cycling grew huge in the past year. With working from home and other factors, people had more time on their hands and rode a lot more. Zwift racing took off since various state restrictions prevented actual racing, and in some cases even group rides from happening. People got strong, but their skills suffered. Cat 5, now Novice, had always gotten a bad reputation for being sketchy. The reasoning is you have new racers with varying skill and ability levels mixed together. In the past, a Cat 5 must have 10 mass start race finishes or some clinics combined with race finishes to equal 10 before upgrading. Now, Novice allows for a voluntary upgrade at will. This could be a good or bad thing depending on each racer that opts for this choice. One of the conversations I had recently was regarding concerns for a young racer who is now in a P123 field after only 4 races. Let me start by saying this. I don't know who this racer is, so I'm not talking about this or any person specifically. For a voluntary Cat 3 upgrade, you must have 20 points within a 36-month period. This could be obtained by finishing well in large fields. Let's assume that these 4 races were 3-4 fields. It's safe to say that fitness and competitiveness are not an issue. But what about safety?
Yeah, this is where it happens, right here.
There are several scenarios that I can think of that would make sense for a racer to upgrade so quickly. Experience in other disciplines would be one of them. If a rider has experience racing track, a rarity due to lack of facilities, unfortunately, or cyclocross, That rider is likely to be experienced in handling contact with other riders, tight quarters, following smooth and predictable line, and avoiding wheel overlap. But what if they're new to racing altogether? How would one build those skills? An experienced club rider, depending on the club of course, may have built the necessary skill set during their regular club rides. And then there are clinics, which I think every rider should attend at least one of. The racer who flies through and becomes a Cat 3 nearly overnight is rare enough, but we all know at least one. Cat 4 lifers like myself envy them. They are typically fine and right where they should be. But what about the masses? What about my fellow Cat 4s who either upgraded through the old system or at will in the new system? The issue is about basic group riding and racing skills, something that many of us have lost over the pandemic year. Fortunately, I'm part of a great team. Minuteman Road Club has been very active through the pandemic, conducting regular group rides while observing state COVID restrictions. And I know that many other teams have been doing so as well. As restrictions eased, more group ride opportunities arose, and some are tough race simulations. The point is to keep those skills sharp. My advice to any racer who is not part of a team, join one. Pick a team that is active and one that you can participate regularly with their group rides. Look for one that rides together at least weekly and make sure you are there. If you haven't ridden in a group all year, delay racing for a little while and get some group riding experience. The problem in the current Cat 4 fields is not due to one or two unskilled riders. That would be great, right? We would have our scapegoat. We would have someone to blame. Instead, the problem is in our collective rustiness. We need to sand it down and apply some polish. This is something I'm happy to say that this week's Wells Ave race is showing signs of. Well, that's all I have. I hope that you enjoyed this week's video and the discussion point. I would love to carry on this conversation in the comments section. I would like to thank New England Development for giving us squeaky wheels an opportunity to race and all the effort they put in to make sure that this race is as safe as possible. I would also like to thank the many of you who I've been talking to about this subject and that inspired me to address it here. This channel is growing, and I'll soon be adding greater amount of variety in the content. Please subscribe as it really helps the channel's growth.